The topic here is Mahakala and three clarifications on misunderstood points or facts from the past that are well published. So, Mahakala is a wrathful deity. He can be a protector primarily, but he can also be a meditational deity. Mahakala is wrathful in appearance, male, and derives from Indian Buddhist Tantra. And primarily the 8-chapter, 25-chapter, and 50-chapter Mahakala Tantras, along with being embedded as chapters in many other common tantras, such as the Hevajra root tantra and others. So, Mahakala also needs to be understood as a category and not necessarily an individual entity, a single personality with many different traditions and slightly different appearances with faces and arms. So Mahakala can be a category. Now, the first clarification is that all Mahakalas are Avalokiteshvara, or they're wrathful emanations, wrathful forms of Avalokiteshvara. This is not the case. We have one very good example of the one-faced six-armed Mahakala, which is very prominent in the Shangpa Kagyu tradition and the Gelug tradition of Tibetan Buddhism. And this one-faced six-armed form of Mahakala is in fact the wrathful emanation of Avalokiteshvara, and it comes out of a particular text called the 8-chapter Mahakala Tantra. So, that's one clarification. The majority of Mahakalas are not Avalokiteshvara. The second is the 75 forms of Mahakala, which has been printed and published a number of times since the 50s, actually 1950s. The 75 lords of 75 forms of Mahakala are actually called the 75 lords of pure lineage, and they are the retinue figures that can surround Shadbhuja, the six-armed Mahakala, or worldly deities such as Pehar and other protector deities. And these 75 lords are made up of the 10 guardians of the directions, the 8 great gods, the 8 great nagas, the 8 great planets, the 4 worldly guardians, the 28 constellations, and the 9 great Bhairavas. So these are called lords, and that is sometimes a word that's confused in the Tibetan with Gompo or in Sanskrit with Nata. Now, that's the second clarification. The third clarification is concerning the one-faced two-armed form of Panjanata Mahakala, and often the Panjanata is translated as Lord of the Tent, and he holds a tent pole across his forearms. Now this is a mistake from actually Grunvedel from the 1890s publication. And in fact, the Panjara in Sanskrit means an enclosure or a pavilion made up of Vajras, made up of Vajra scepters, large Vajra scepters, small Vajra scepters, and it's a giant pavilion which the two-armed Mahakala stands in. So it's a bit like his fortress or his palace. And the staff across the forearms is a Gandhi of emanation. And this actually comes from Buddhist monasticism, and it's a large plank of wood which is struck to call the monks to services. And Mahakala holds this plank of wood, but in Tantric Buddhism, the plank is for calling all Mahakalas, or in fact, emanating from this plank of wood, this staff in the forearms, emanating all forms of Mahakala. So this is the third of the three clarifications about Mahakala.